okay, this is something else. This is not what I thought. This is incredible.
This is where everyone turns off the video. I'm sorry.
Whoa!
I know.
What?
How can there be 10 episodes better than that? How is it not in my top 10? We're going to be jumping in now to our favorite episodes of the entire series. So we still got a lot to go through here. We're not going to be doing any honorable mentions because we're going to be doing all of our honorable mentions over on our Patreon in our extra segment. Our patrons get an extra segment for all of these videos that you can check out there, where we'll be talking about all the episodes that we really liked but just didn't quite make our lists. But we're doing a top 15, and we have something a little bit special for this time, Alex, since it's being the end of the show. As I lost the paper, it's somewhere here.
Uh-oh.
For our highest tier of patrons, our target demographic tier of patrons, the names that you always see scrolling in our videos, we asked them to rank their top 15 episodes. So we took all of their lists, averaged them together. So in addition to Alex's list and my list for the top 15 episodes of the whole series, you're also going to get an aggregated list of the top 15 of our target demographics patrons list of episodes. So you don't get just to hear our bad opinions, you get to hear their bad opinions as well. So thank you to those patrons. So let's start with number 15. And you know what? Let's start with, you want to start with them or do you want to start with us?
Let's start with them.
Let's start with the patrons. And number 15, The Devil in the Dark. This is a, I believe, season 1 episode, late season 1, where they have the Horta that's, kind of like a monster of the week type episode, but it ends up being that it's just trying to protect its children, I believe it's revealed at the end. It ends up working with the miners. They make like a deal at the end of the episode. This is one of the best Bones moments.
The thing is virtually made out of stone. Help it, treat it. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Is Spock mind meld with this thing?
Yes,
that
Spock
one?
mind melds with
Okay.
the Horta.
Yes. Okay. I remember it now. Yeah. This is another one where the title, I'm like, you're like,
Maybe this could go back to creepiest moment of the show. This had one of the creepiest hooks where you would just see the monster's POV and it would come up onto the workers and they're like, ah! And then they would just be completely disintegrated. That was a good moment.
yeah.
By golly, Jim, I'm beginning to think I can cure a rainy day.
Do you want to go first for your 15?
My number 15 is A Piece of the Action. The mobster episode. Seeing Kirk and Spock and their mobster get up gets me every time. Great episode. Seeing Kirk try to drive a car.
I kind of like this. I may get one myself.
I know sometimes we get into when they use real life stuff, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, piece of the action. One of the funniest episodes for sure. Kirk getting to be a mobster with the accent was great. Spock with the machine gun. The freeze frame ending.
In a few years, the Iosians may demand a piece of our action.
My number 15 is the Cloud Minders, which I've already talked a lot about. Probably not in this video, but in the last video we did for season 3 because I really liked it.
Are you as brave with Morte as you are with a phaser? Both will kill.
But yeah, Cloud Minders, as far as a political drama, that's probably my favorite episode, and I really enjoyed it.
Are we so sure of our methods that we never question what we do?
For the patrons, number 14, The Enemy Within. Classic Star Trek episode. Yeah, I'm surprised it's not higher as well, but for them it's number 14.
I want to live!
You will. Both of us.
Wow, okay.
With the two Kirks, what is your number 14?
My number 14 is Journey to Babel.
Being Vulcan is more important to you. And let your father die, and I'll hate you for the rest of my life.
Classic Star Trek mystery, whodunit, great character development between Spock and his parents, Kirk getting to interact with his parents, Bones getting to interact with his parents, all the different species, a little bit more of how the Federation, works a little bit.
In council, his vote carries others. I will know where he stands and why.
My number 14 is the Enterprise Incident.
Hey! Get
He is not sane.
And, I'm starting off with 2 season 3 episodes here. I'll be honest, going into making this list, I was like, how many season 3 episodes are even going to be on here? Because I like season 3, but, there's so many good episodes. But starting my list off with 2 season 3 episodes, the Enterprise Incident is probably, I said in our season 3 recap, probably the best episode of season 3, even though I didn't rank it number 1 personally. But as far as just being a Star Trek episode, if someone told me the Enterprise incident was their favorite one, I couldn't blame them at all. Like, it's pretty great.
The captain is dead.
Number 13 for the patrons is the Enterprise incident. So they kind of agree with me there. That's number 13 for them. What about you?
My number 13 is Wolf in the Fold.
Stabbed 12 times.
The Scotty episode, the vacation, the Jack the Ripper episode. And I just love that idea of this entity of like an unknown person, and they bring it into Star Trek. Goofy, ridiculous, possession, but I loved it.
My number 13 is Metamorphosis.
There's 1,000 planets out there, 1,000 races.
I loved Metamorphosis. This is the episode where they go and meet Zephyr Cochrane on the planet, and he's with the companion, the big creature, and they bring the woman with them, and the companion eventually moves into her body because she's about to die. Kind of weird, but anyway. The score, probably the best score in the whole show. This is I believe, a Ralph Sinensky episode. And the score in this episode is just beautiful. The set is really well done and beautiful. And I really like the kind of the thematics of what is love. You know, does love have to be sexual and romantic, or can you have this kind of like deeper companionship love that can still, meet those needs? And, he kind of rejects that at first when they try to tell him, like, this thing's in love with you. He's like, disgusted.
Yeah.
But then, then it becomes an attractive woman, so he goes along with it.
Yeah.
Also, one of my favorite reaction moments from your joke when they're talking.
Learn anything you can. Find me a weapon to use against this thing.
Do you intend to destroy it?
I intend to do whatever is necessary to get us off this planet.
You guys are very bad at whispering.
Very well, you have your orders.
Yeah, he didn't hear any of that. I think that was the first example of the Star Trek whisper.
Number 12 for the patrons, I'm Mud. I'm glad that it made the list for the patrons. We love Harry Mudd.
Wow.
And
okay.
they put his sequel episode at number 12.
Harcourt, Fenton, Mudd, thief,
Come now.
swindler and conman,
Entrepreneur.
liar and rogue.
Did I leave you with that impression?
Number 12 is Bread and Circuses, the Roman Empire episode.
Need any help, Doctor?
Whatever gave you that idea?
With the whole TV set and the fighting. And I love the whole idea of what if the Roman Empire never ended and how it would modernize into the real world.
Yeah, the fact that there was that good of an episode that late in the season when I was not expecting there to be, it really took me by surprise.
I'm worried about Jim, too.
Number 12 for me, this I think is one of the most slept on episodes. I see almost no praise for this. What are little girls made of?
Still me, Christine. Roger. I'm in here.
The episode with Rook, where they go down to the planet and the guy down there is making clones, making androids, and he makes one of Kirk. He has Andrea, his female assistant. Nurse Chapel, I think, is like his fiance, but that's never addressed again after this in the episode. She goes down with them. This was like the first time in the show, but also I think the best example of let's go down to a planet and there's something weird going on. Like that happens in a lot of episodes, but this is one of the first ones that did that, and I think it did it the best. You go down in this crazy, doctors making androids, Rook, this big monster that kills the red shirts when they go down. I loved almost everything about that episode.
He is an android, great action, good fight scenes. Like remember when Rook picked up Kirk and put him against the wall?
A great reveal when Kirk is talking to Nurse Chapel.
Please, go ahead and eat.
Androids don't eat, Miss Chapel.
And that's actually the android Kirk.
Yeah, it's like, what? Yeah.
That's a good moment. Number 11 for the patrons, Space Seed, the Khan episode.
Well, either choke me or cut my throat. Make up your mind.
That was one where, even though we've never seen Star Trek, we both know through pop culture who Khan is, and that, The Wrath of Khan is the second movie, and we were pretty shocked that he was in the show. We didn't see that coming.
And I only knew it by name. I never even saw who Khan looked like.
Me either,
Yeah, so that reveal was like, what?
And your name?
Khan is my name.
Oh, wow.
Wait. Is this Khan like the Khan?
I would guess so.
From the famous Khan? My number 11 is The Naked Time, the episode where Star Trek really took off for me. Great performances, great mystery of why is everyone acting so strange. It really just like brings us along slowly.
For me, The Naked Time is probably the one I most want to rewatch. I didn't get to rewatch it for this, and I want to go back and rewatch that, maybe even with the original effects, see if that makes a difference. Because I really like that episode, but it's never been on any of my lists. I would definitely love to rewatch that one for sure.
Why do I deserve to live? What are you doing, Joe?
Hey, Joey, put the knife down.
This is where everyone turns off the video. I'm sorry. My number 11 is The City on the Edge of Forever.
Whoa!
I know.
What?
How can there be 10 episodes better than that?
It's cold outside.
A lie is a very poor way to say hello. It isn't that cold.
It's a great episode. It's not the type of Star Trek episode that I love Star Trek for, but just like as an episode of television, it's really great, which is why it's my number 11. But I get why everyone else loves it. It's amazing. I get it, guys. I understand. But yeah, it's my number 11. But we'll get into that more later, I'm sure.
I'm in love with Edith Keeler.
Edith Keeler must die.
Top 10. Here we go. What do we got, patrons?
Number 10 for the patrons, Is There in Truth No Beauty?
There's somebody nearby thinking of murder.
I'm surprised it's even on their list, because even though we really loved it, this is not one we heard a ton of praise about. But let's pat ourselves in the back a little bit. A ton of comments on this video of, wow, I never thought anything of this episode, but rewatching it with you guys, I see the value. I really love the episode. Is that why it's on the list? No, we're probably giving ourselves too much credit, but I do really like seeing that. So I'm surprised it's on the list, even if it's at number 10. I like that.
For me, my number 10 is This Side of Paradise.
I've never seen a dragon.
I have, but I've never stopped to look at clouds before.
Spock love interest, Spock a little emotional, one of the most heartbreaking endings I've ever seen. Is that why it's on there? Because it's a sad ending? Maybe. But, yeah, that's one of those where it's like, oh, man, it hit me. Hit me really hard.
Does she know what she's getting, Spock? Carcass full of memory banks who should be squatting on a mushroom instead of passing himself off as a man.
My number 10 is Arena. You got the Gorn, one of the most iconic characters from Star Trek. The opening when they're in that set where things are blowing up, and they're actually running around the explosions. For all like the obvious fake stunt doubles in the show, this was the scene where it was really them running around explosions. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Apparently they both got, Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner both got shoot tinnitus from that incident. So that's not good.
That was season 1, right?
Yeah, season 1.
God.
But yeah, overall though, great episode, and I love the ending of Kirk giving mercy to the Gorn, which we end up seeing a bunch in the series. But this is the first time we see it, and it's really effective.
No, I won't kill him. Do you hear? You'll have to get your entertainment someplace else.
Number 9 for the patrons. Let That Be Your Last Battlefield.
They have annihilated each other. Totally.
My people, all dead.
We talked about that one a little bit in our season 3 video. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is The Corbomite Maneuver.
There is no escape. You have 8 Earth minutes left.
That is one of the best reveals ever in Star Trek. I feel like it's an iconic moment. It's up there. Just one of my favorite reactions ever.
Who that is? You know who that is?
No, who's that?
That's Clint Howard. It's Clint Howard as a baby. I've seen pictures of this.
Number 9 for me is going to be Obsession. This is the episode with the weird mist thing, and Kirk, this is part of his past, and he couldn't overcome it in his past, and now he's taking it out on the young guy who he sees it himself in. Really like the character drama, and when is vengeance the right thing to do, and when is vengeance the wrong thing to do? Because more times than not, vengeance is the wrong thing, to let overcome you. But this episode, I think, proves that maybe in some circumstances, vengeance can be helpful, or it can give you the motivation you need. It's a very complex, nuanced topic that I think the episode does well. And we also have the moment of Kirk being like, Bones, don't try to use our friendship against me. And Bones is like, this isn't about our friendship. I'm reporting your ass because you're not fit for duty as a captain. Great Bones moment.
And like Kirk being able to forgive his younger self through this other guy. It's like, and that moment where like the guy goes to knock him out and Kirk reverses it. It's like, nope, you're not doing that.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
You're not sacrificing yourself. You're not doing that.
Send yourself a report. It's no time for heroics.
For the patrons, number 8 is the Corbinite maneuver.
Okay.
You brought that one up. I'll say now that unfortunately did not make my list, but really liked the episode, and it's in the top 10 for the patrons.
My number 8 is Arena.
Weaponless, I faced the creature the Metrones called a Gorn.
Probably the most classic Star Trek episode ever. That's one of the ones where I'm talking about where like, this is Star Trek on the surface, fighting goofy green alien, but a lot of good stuff in there. Kirk choosing not to kill. And yeah, great stuff.
Oh! Yay!
My number 8, By Any Other Name.
This is the essence of what they were. The flesh and brain.
This is the episode where they come across the alien species who then take over the Enterprise, and everyone in the Enterprise splits up, and one by one they all use their own character trait to take out one of the aliens. Scotty outdrinks one of them. Spock uses his intellect. Kirk seduces the one's girlfriend and makes him jealous. And Bones gives the one guy a bad vaccine. It was a great example. This was in the late second season of, we built up all these characters, and now you, as a fan of the show, knowing these characters, get rewarded because you get to see all of them use their individual character traits to save the Enterprise. It's not just Kirk or just Spock, saving the Enterprise this time. It's everybody, and I really liked that.
Oh, I totally forgot about that scene. That probably would have made the list because at surface level, I remembered, oh yeah, God complex people. I'm like, but I forgot about those great scenes. Damn it. See, this list isn't set in stone. These numbers are gonna change all the time.
We did it, you and me.
Number 7 for the patrons, The Doomsday Machine.
That thing.
What thing? What was it?
That...
Answer me.
One of our most controversial reactions, because we didn't love it. We just thought it was okay. But I think you did actually put that on your list for season 2. But
that one grew on me because of a pure, bringing out emotion out of me. It's like, this guy. It's like, oh, this guy,
I mean, yeah, Decker in that episode, Commodore Decker, is amazing, and his whole character is great. Unfortunately for me, that's all the episode really had to offer, and while it was great, I just thought it was enough to make it an okay, pretty good episode, not one that stuck out as one of the best. And anyone out there who says that if an individual episode isn't your favorite or one of your favorites, then, you're not a real fan or you're stupid or whatever, just remember, no one cares. This is all fake. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is A Taste of Armageddon.
Your people just walk into a disintegration machine when they're told to.
We have a high consciousness of duty, Captain.
The video game warfare planet where these two separate planets settle their warfare basically via computer game, and they have to follow the rules and kill people that are killed like in this simulation. It's like, what a fascinating, horrifying idea. And just seeing how Kirk, trying to like dismantle it, be like, you're not gonna know unless you try, you change, blah, all that.
Yeah, and also Spock, what's that on your shoulder?
Is that where that one was?
Yeah. Vulcan neck bench, yeah. My number 7 is going to be Bread and Circuses. Really like Bread and Circuses. It's a Ralph Sinensky episode. Great stuff. Big surprise, like we already said. The whole TV set reveal when they go to fight. And at first I thought, oh, it just looks like that because it's like a 60s set. But no, it was literally a TV show in this episode. And also, Flavius! Can't forget Flavius!
Flavius!
Number 6 for the patrons, The Trouble with Tribbles.
May I hold it? Oh, it's adorable.
I feel like this is another one that's a really big fan favorite that I just thought was good. It was good. You know, not like, you know, my thing really, but it was funny. It was good moments.
Bar fight.
Bar fight scene was great. Yeah.
Great stuff there. My number 6 is my season 2 number 1, A Private Little War. I felt like this episode was the mix of what I thought Star Trek was and what it actually is. That episode is the mix of those two things, and it nailed it perfectly. I loved how ridiculous it was, but all the real life, you know, oh my God, this is horrible. What we did to this one side is elevating the other side. And it's like, oh, if you give them guns, don't give them guns. It's all this like, and just that ending. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, Private Little War, I said at the time, I don't think we'll ever have another reaction to this show like that again. And we had some fun times, some fun reactions after that, but I was correct. No reaction matched just the utter, you know, flabbergasted we were at that episode.
We're very tired, Mr. Spock. Beam us up home.
Oh my God.
Bro, what the fuck?
My number 6 is Journey to Babel. I already talked about how much I love Spock's parents. They were great in this. Great political drama that we got a little bit of it there. Best paced episode in the whole show, in my opinion. It just went the whole time. You think you know what's going on? Oh, now Kirk's getting shanked in the hallway.
Oh,
something always happening in this episode. And great pacing. And also Bones at the end. I finally get the last word. Great moment.
Well, what do you know? I finally got the last word.
So does that bring us to our top 5?
Top 5. Oh my God.
Top 5. Number 5 for the patrons. Balance of Terror.
In a different reality, I could have called you friend. What purpose will it serve to die?
This is one I gotta rewatch. This was one, I think this was the first time we met the Romulans, and everyone on board was like, they look like Vulcans. You know, why wouldn't they be aware of who Romulans were? Doesn't matter. But a lot of people love this episode. It's good if you like war, action, conflict. You know, that's up your alley. I thought it was okay, but I totally admit it's probably a good possibility. I would like it more on a rewatch. I did somewhat rewatch it because we posted our full uncut reaction to our Patreon, and so I didn't rewatch the whole thing, but I did have to go through and edit it to restore into a full uncut reaction. So I saw bits of it again. I would like to give it a full rewatch, but
yeah, after everything, I probably should. I also own a T-shirt of it that I found at a thrift store.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's so many of these that deserve a full rewatch. I mean, I tried to fit in as many as I could before we started this, but it's impossible.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I rewatched like 3. I didn't have a ton of time.
It's impossible.
Your number 5?
My number 5 has to be the best opening to a season 2 ever, which is Amok Time.
She is T'Pring, my wife.
We talk about respecting the audience. That season 2 intro perfectly respected the audience with Spock being the way he is. It respected us to know how Spock is usually. Seeing Vulcan, the twist with Kirk and Kirk and Bones, you know, so Kirk dies, Spock doesn't know. We actually get to see the human side of Spock that isn't influenced by some other medium, that isn't a different person possessing him. It was Spock being emotional, and seeing that was super special.
Don't you think you better check with me first?
Captain. Jim!
My number 5. Is there in truth no beauty? Is that my number 5?
Now, I agree with the Vulcans. Violent emotion is a kind of insanity.
So obviously you can put together, this was my number 1 season 3 episode, so it's my last season 3 of the list here. Really loved it. We already talked about it in our season 3, just, previously in our last video, so you can go check that out. But yeah, best episode of season 3, one of my favorites of the show. But goes to show how great the first 2 seasons are to me, because even though it's my favorite of season 3, it's just cracking my top 5, because I really love these other episodes. But Is There in Truth No Beauty is great.
I suppose it has thorns.
I never met a rose that didn't.
The Patrons, number 4 episode, Mirror Mirror.
You take a lot of chances, Lieutenant.
So do you, mister.
No surprise there. This is a great one. I don't think either of us have said it yet, so I think it's. I'm guessing it's on both of our lists. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is The Enemy Within.
Hold on. You won't be afraid if you use your mind and think. Think. You can do it. That's it.
Where I discovered how good William Shatner is at splitting between these two characters of himself, and to seeing like the mystery, him interact with the different characters. And that's the episode. I mean, The Naked Time really like it's like okay, but this one is like, okay, this is something else. This is not what I thought. This is incredible.
My number 4 is Mirror Mirror, same as the patrons. This is another one that, like, if someone were to ask me, define Star Trek, the original series, you know, off the top of your head, or I've never seen Star Trek, the original series, what's one episode I should watch? I think Mirror Mirror is great. Although I get the argument that it's better if you know the characters, you know, obviously. But just as a standalone sci-fi story, you know, it's not hard to understand what's going on. It's a mirror universe, you know, everyone's the opposite. And getting to see that was excellent. Uhura gets a great scene, getting to take the weapon away from, I think her name is Melina, the other woman. And yeah, great time with that episode.
Fascinating.
Power Spock. I can get that for you.
The patrons, number 3 is Amok Time. What about you, Alex? What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Mirror Mirror. Yes, just an amazing episode. Fantastic. Just opens up this new world on the Enterprise. Like the little details from like the signias on their shirts being different, some facial hair, the scars, and like the total like hilarity and respecting the audience almost when it hard cuts to what it is on our Enterprise, and the evil versions are already locked up. Like Spock already took care of them, and it adds to Kirk having so much faith in his best friend Spock, even Mirror Universe Spock. It's like, hey, you can make a you know, it's like this isn't right. You can do something about it, and I'd like to see what happened after that. I mean, Spock versus the entire Empire, the entire I think they called it the Terran Empire, might be tough, but I just love really even if it's not the same Spock, like. Just Kirk and Spock just feels good.
And Kirk even like convincing the evil Spock, the mirror Spock, not to go through with his plan. And then when he asks him like, this empire can't last forever, and even the Spock in that universe is like, yeah, it's gonna fall in a couple hundred years. Like even he knows because Spock's still that logical. Also, you guessing the end of the episode of Melina being on the Enterprise.
Yes, one of the best moments, and it's like a lot of times Kirk and his relationships, whatever. But I loved that she existed on that Enterprise. It's like, oh, it's like, yes, one of the great moments.
My number 3 is Amok Time.
Crying, if I want anything from you, I'll ask for it.
I remember starting season 2 being like, all right, we're one season in, let's go, let's hit the gas, and Amok Time hit the gas. Perfect season 2 opener. I think you said it in the videos in the past, but like one of the best season openers ever of any show. Amazing episode. Kirk versus Spock 1-on-1, and Spock just kicks his ass. To be fair, he had the home field advantage on Vulcan,
Yeah.
but Spock was great in that moment of Kirk coming back to life.
And
excellent.
first time with the symbol, right?
Yep, and this could have been my favorite episode, and that's really the one drawback, the fact that you bring that up. I thought going into this episode after watching, I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going full sci-fi. The show never really does. Like, the show, Amok Time is the most like Star Trek episode of Star Trek. When you think of like the culture and like, you know what I mean, everything around Star Trek, I think of Amok Time. It never really reaches that height again in that aspect for me, but that's my number 3. Number 2 for the patrons, Journey to Babel. We both really like Journey to Babel, but the patrons liked it even more. It's their second favorite episode.
My number 2, I gotta say, is There No Truth in Beauty. I loved everything about this episode. Just I've explained, but it's like answering questions I didn't even know I had yet, or like revealing something I wasn't questioning, and that such a great reveal. Everything feels purposeful. Every line of dialogue, every scene, and looking back, how it adds later on to the reveal. Yeah, I can go on all day about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. If you didn't watch our season 3 video, we go in depth about why we love that episode so much in that video. So I would recommend checking that out.
I see in your mind that you are tempted to take my place.
Not correct, Doctor.
My number 2. These 2 episodes, man, you talk about how the list isn't, solid or set in stone. These 2, every half hour I could change what is my favorite episode of Star Trek. But in this moment, as I have to decide, my number 2 is going to be The Enemy Within.
You can't. Don't you understand?
I mean, I love The Enemy Within. I've already talked about the I'm Captain Kirk moment. That is when I fell in love with the show for me. I love this show. William Shatner's acting in that episode. And damn, I miss Janice, man. Janice was so great. Only in the first 10 episodes or so of the show. And then, all the behind-the-scenes stuff happened, whatever. There's different stories from her side, their side, whatever. But she ends up not being in the show. One of the reasons given was that they didn't want Kirk to have one love interest, which, I mean, look at how the rest of the show played out.
He sure didn't.
Yeah, he sure didn't. But you could have still had her on the show and had him have other love interests. She didn't have to only play that role. The show, maybe it'd be too bloated. There are already so many characters that need more time. Can you really afford to have one more, I get all that, but man, I really miss Janice. Unfortunate, that this is, I think, is the only episode on my list that she makes an appearance this early in the show, I think. Rewatching this episode, I'm like, this is the one where I was like, wow, this show was so different. Like, Spock doesn't really act like Spock that much in this. Like, it is very different than the rest of the show. And it's weird. It's weird to go back and watch episodes that are that early. I felt different on the rewatch for that reason. Not saying I liked it less. I still loved it. It was still amazing. But it just felt so like, our commenters say this all the time about early Star Trek, cerebral. Like, it felt so grounded, and like, even though it was about a split in half Kirk, it was so like realistic compared to some of the later stuff. I mean, the show kind of totally gave up on like all that lighting and like all those really dark kind of special, all that from the early show kind of goes away, and we don't notice it because episode by episode it's so little, but going back it's like, wow, this was such a different show.
We would make so many comments about it in this third season. I don't remember making much of any.
I mean, there was different stuff that we would like, camera angles and whatnot, but those signature season 1 things kind of went away. But it makes me love the first season though. It's time for our number 1, starting with the patrons, Alex. So the way I aggregated this, aggregated everybody's scores, put them all together, so they all ended up with like a final score, and that's how they were ranked. This number 1 episode blew the rest of the list away. Almost everyone that submitted their list, this was their number 1. It's City on the Edge of Forever is the patrons' number 1, and I'm what's your number 1?
It's City on the Edge of Forever. It's what Star Trek is. It's what Star Trek is to me. If I'm ever going to make people watch this show, I'm going to be like, all right, here, watch this.
Do you know what you just did?
He knows, Doctor. He knows.
It's one of my favorite endings ever in 2 ways. One, Kirk making the decision to give up, that love interest for the sake of humanity, and like holding Bones back, and Spock's line right after that. And then the ending, it's like, let's get the hell out of here. It's sat with me ever since, and I want to rewatch it. I have that guilty, it's like, honestly, dude, like, just really quick, it's like, I don't know when I'm ever gonna, I need to let the show sit down for a bit. We've watched it like so consistently up until this point where I'm kind of like, I feel like I need to let everything breathe, go away from it for an extended period of time. And when we start up, I don't know, maybe next gen, like, come back to it and watch and just like let it sit in the back of my mind for a while and see how I feel when it's not, not watching it consistently.
Obviously we have the movies and stuff, but like maybe even like, what if you didn't rewatch it until after we finish next gen?
Oh my God.
All 7 seasons and then go back to
with
it.
that different perspective.
Yeah, it's the fan favorite episode. I mean, I can't disagree with you. They all agree with you. The patrons agree with you. I'm in the minority. I get that.
Let's get the hell out of here.
There are only 2 pieces of media that I've come across that just the score alone, just the musical score of it, makes me emotional. Not because the score is so beautiful, which it is, but in both of these cases, but the contents of what my brain relates that score to makes me emotional thinking about it. The first one is the movie Arrival. My favorite movie, even just hearing that score, even though it was already a previous song that's in other stuff like Shutter Island, but just hearing that score makes me emotional thinking of Arrival. And the other one is the score in This Side of Paradise.
You can belong again. Come back with me, please.
I rewatched that episode, and every time they would play the little score when Spock was with his love interest of the episode, they played a lot in the episode, that score, and it gave me a visceral emotional reaction, all because I knew what was coming, and all leading up to the end of the episode. For the first time in my life, I was happy. That to me is the let's get the hell out of here. I think it conveys the same message, obviously. For me, it just hit harder because even though Spock is under the spell of these spores, they did have a previous relationship that they talk about. And it's really the only time in the show that Spock brings up a relationship that we haven't seen anything of and was apparently like a real relationship that he had. Like, I want to know more about that. But God, it's so great. And then, so there's that, the emotional romance stuff. The woman, when he's basically the breakup scene, when he's telling her, like, I gotta stay on the Enterprise, she's crying over him, and she's like, is it okay if I still love you? It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. I can't. It's like, it's so good.
Before that, the best reveal that it was Spock's love interest and not Kirk's.
Yes, when we first see her.
Yeah, because every time we've been, it's always Kirk. It's always Kirk.
Elias.
Oh no, not a blonde with glowing hair. Don't look at him. What? Spock? Oh, what a swerve. Oh, man.
Yes. So that is by far the best part of the episode. But then even that aside, what ended up making this the favorite for me when I was rewatching it, there are so many iconic moments in this episode. I already named the one, the ending line from Spock. But also, Dr. McCoy gets put under the spore spell.
We don't need you, not as a doctor.
Oh, no? You'd like to see just how fast I can put you in a hospital?
Great Bones moment, probably his best line. So many iconic. The scene where Sulu is like sitting on the farm and the spore flower is like 2 feet away from him, and he's like, I don't know anything about farms. I wouldn't know if it was 2 feet from me, and the flower's 2 feet from him in the frame, which you don't know on the first watch, and a lot of people pointed out in our comments, and then I saw on the rewatch. I'm like, wow, that's great. So many things like that. Spock hanging upside down on the tree, and Kirk comes up to him, and they're all so baffled. Kirk calls Spock, and Spock's like already under the spell, and he's like, what do you want?
Report back to me at the settlement in 10 minutes.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so what?
It's just like so great. Like Kirk is so baffled by what's going on. And then when they find them, and Kirk is so confused, he just goes, Sulu, Spock's under arrest. Take him with you. Like, he doesn't even know what to say.
For the first time in my life, I was happy.
It is my favorite episode. And again, you said these lists aren't set in stone. When we did season 1, I had Enemy Within as my favorite, and This Side of Paradise is number 2. I noticed that you had Amok Time above A Private Little War, even though in our season 2 recap, you had A Private Little War as your favorite episode. So it just goes to show, over time, these things are going to change, you know? And in the future, as we watch this stuff, I mean, there's dozens upon dozens of scenes we haven't even talked about that we love in this show that we wouldn't be able to get to it all in this video.
I think that's how good the show is, where it's like these episodes are so interchangeable, because depending on how you're feeling, what you're going through, and just on rewatches what you notice, I think that what makes for an amazing TV show is that they're not all set in stone. I can shuffle all of these at any time. I feel like writing this out, Mike, I was stressing, like, oh God, do I put this 6 or 7? But I'm like, you know what? I just got to do it. It's not set in stone.
Yeah. So that's our list. I want to thank all of the patrons who participated in this video, both our target demographic patrons that made their version of the list, also all of the questions that we got that helped frame the video. This is going to be a big video. It's going to take a long time to edit and put together, so I'm sorry if this is, several weeks or over a month since, we posted our last reaction, but it's going to be a big project. We're going to get it up as fast as we can, and if you're someone who's been on the channel purely for TOS, and this is the last video of ours you ever watch, it has been nice having you here. If this is the first video on our channel you've ever seen, go watch all of our reactions to the entire show, and then join us for the animated series, which by the time this gets posted, we're probably finishing up on the YouTube channel of Buffy, and we're going to be jumping into the animated series next. So subscribe, become part of the target audience.
Absolutely. That'll do it for us here at the TA. I'm Alex. This is Josh. We are the TA, where content's made for absolutely everybody. But we think it's specifically made for us guys, but hopefully for you guys as well. Thank you. See you.